Hello, students. I cannot see you guys. Why? Put your camera on. Asini Gagana. Fast. So in the last class, we have completed about the types of irrigations, right? Irrigation methods. So both the traditional methods as well as uh, the modern techniques. So now we discuss about the cropping patterns, how cropping is done. So what are cropping patterns? So how do you could have seen in the crop plants that in a particular row, the uh, plants are grown, right? So you can see in a field, so they're grow in a particular row, right? You can walk in between them. So how those, like what type of patterns are following while growing their crop? So let's see. So what is cropping pattern? It involves raising crops so as to obtain maximum benefit from the same piece of land. So you can sow same generally in by following this cropping pattern, we sow like different types of crops we sow in a particular land in different patterns to get maximum benefit. Okay, so they are grow in different patterns. So why means to reduce the chance of diseases, okay, to obtain maximum benefits. Clear? So what are cropping patterns? It involves raising crops so as to obtain maximum benefit from the same piece of land. Maximum benefit from the same piece of land. Okay. Next, crops are grown in different ways so that it reduces crop failure and diseases. So crops are grown in different ways so that it reduces crop failure, diseases, etc. So this is the advantage of cropping pattern. So here we are going to discuss about 3 cropping patterns. One is mixed cropping, the other one intercropping, the third one is crop rotation. So please make a note. Done? Please reply. Okay. So the first method of cropping pattern, first method is mixed cropping. So what is mixed cropping? So mixed cropping is the practice of growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same piece of land. So in the same piece, you grow like group of crops. Okay. So I'll show you pictures also. It is the practice of growing two or more crops simultaneously on the piece of land. Okay. Example, what kind of crops you can select? You can grow wheat with gram. You can grow wheat with mustard, groundnut, and sunflower. So these are like certain combinations we can follow, etc. So this is mixed cropping. Growing of two or more varieties simultaneously on a piece of land. Done. So what are the advantages of mixed cropping? Let's see the advantages of mixed cropping. So growing two or more crops in a piece of land. So what are the advantages? So advantages it improves soil fertility. First advantage we can discuss is it improves soil fertility. Next, it minimizes the risk of failure of one of the crops. It minimizes the risk of failure of one of the crops. Okay. So as it is increasing soil fertility, obviously the crop yield also increases. You get like good quality crop. And in whatever the land you have in that, you're sowing like different varieties. So it means you are using that land properly, right? So, and you're getting like not only one variety, you're growing like two or more varieties. So you can get good yield as well as you can get like good varieties of product. So these are the advantages of the mixed cropping. So we can write crop yield increases. Next, soil is utilized properly. And more than one variety of crops you can get at last after, like at the time of harvesting. More than one variety of crops can be harvested at the same time. So these are the advantages. So what are the advantages? It improves soil fertility. It minimizes the risk of failure of one of the crops. Crop yield increases. Soil is utilized properly. And at the time of harvesting, you get more than one variety of crops at the same time. Clear? Please write. Done, students? Yes, sir. Okay. Next pattern. So one we have discussed mixed cropping. The second one is intercropping. So what is intercropping? This is also growing like two or more varieties, but whatever the varieties you grow, those should have like different nutrient requirements. Okay, if one of the crop requires like a nitrogen or sodium, the other crop should require like a other nutrients. So in that way, you have to choose your crops. Okay, and these are also sown simultaneously in a piece of land. But we follow a definite pattern. Okay, practice of growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same piece of land in a definite pattern. Okay, like how you have to do, like in a piece of land, if one row you're sowing one type of crop, in the other row you need to sow like another type of crop. So alternate, one crop alternate with few rows of other crop. Okay, so that is the pattern we follow here. A few rows of one crop alternate with a few rows of other crop. Okay. And whatever the two crops, whatever you're selecting, those should have like different nutrient requirements. So two crops must have different nutrient requirements. From each other. So example, what kind of crops we select here? Like you grow soya bean. So this is like oil crop with maize. So these type of combinations we need to select. So which have like different nutrient requirements. Okay. You're writing? Clear, students? Done? So what are the advantages of intercropping? So the advantages are include like as the crops have different nutrient requirements and the nutrients are properly supplied to the crops. Okay, so they will get like maximum nutrients, and both crops give like different returns. Okay, diseases are also not easily spread. So you can write, since crops have different nutrient requirements, they would use maximum benefit or maximum nutrients from the soil. So this is the first advantage we can write. And disease is also not easily spread to all crops. Diseases are not easily spread to all crops. Okay. Please write. Done, students? Please answer. Yes, perfect. Okay, let's see the picture of Mixed cropping and intercropping. So this is like in the mixed cropping and intercropping, see the difference? So you are growing here different varieties of crops in rows. You can see here. Okay, here also you're growing the same thing, but in case of intercropping, we select crops which have like different nutrient requirements. Okay. Clear. So let's write the difference between the mixed cropping and intercropping. So mixed cropping, intercropping. So mixed cropping is growing up two or more crops simultaneously in a piece of land. But intercropping is also same thing, but we are following a definite pattern here. So please write down. So there is no definite pattern of rows. So that is the first difference we can make here. So there is no definite pattern of rows. Coming to intercropping, they are grown in definite pattern of rows. So crops are grown in definite pattern of rows. Okay. So why we are following the mixed cropping? What are the advantages we have seen? To minimize the risk of crop failure, mixed cropping is followed, whereas intercropping is followed to get good yield per unit area. Okay, to get good yield per unit area. So these are the two benefits of mixed cropping and intercropping. So it is undertaken to minimize the risk of crop failure. Okay. Next, in intercropping, it is undertaken to enhance the crop production per unit area. So it is undertaken to enhance the production of crops per unit area. Okay. Next, the seeds are, so in the mixed cropping, so there is like no definite pattern. So you can grow the seeds as per your requirement. Okay, as per your need. So there is like no separation of seeds. You can directly sow them. But in intercropping, as you follow a definite pattern of rows, so you have to separate the seeds. So you have to follow a particular order while sowing the seeds. Okay. Seeds are mixed up before sowing. Okay. Next, seeds are not mixed before sowing. Before sowing. So as here, you're not, you're mixing the crops and you're growing here. So if you want to spray any pesticides or fertilizers separately on a particular plant, it is not possible because you're growing mixed crops here. Whereas in intercropping, as you're growing them in a particular pattern, so based on the requirement of each crop, you can use fertilizers and pesticides easily here. Okay. Spraying of pesticides, fertilizers for separate crops is not possible. Whereas here, individually, you can take attention on each crop. As per the individual crop, fertilizers, pesticides can be easily used. So these are the major differences you can discuss in mixed cropping and intercropping. So both are like saying different crops, but you follow a definite pattern in one and in the other you do not. Please write. Done, students?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's discuss again before we end the session.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, you're writing Gagana?
Done, ma'am. Done, ma'am.
Okay. So in today's class, we discussed about the cropping patterns. Here, we sow the crops, we sow the seeds, you grow them. So while growing the crops, we follow like definite patterns here. So what are cropping patterns? It involves raising crops so as to obtain maximum benefit from the same piece of land. Okay, so within the land, whatever you have, so in that you are growing like maximum crops to obtain benefit. So crops are grown in different ways so that it reduces crop failure as well as disease spreading tendency also decreases. So by following this cropping patterns. So in that we discuss there are 3 cropping patterns. So today we discuss like 2 of them. In the next class, 1 more we can discuss. So the first method is mixed cropping. So what is mixed cropping? So it is the practice of growing 2 or more crops simultaneously on the piece of land. Okay, so examples like wheat, gram, wheat, mustard, groundnut, and sunflower. Advantages. So advantages are it improves soil fertility, it minimizes the risk of failure of one of the crops. Next, crop yield increases. Next, the soil is utilized properly because you are growing more number of varieties in the same land, and more than one variety of crops can be harvested at the same time. Okay, can be harvested at the same time. Next, intercropping method. So this is also the growing of 2 or more crops simultaneously, but you follow a definite pattern, as well as you choose crops whichever have different nutrient requirements so that each crop can get like maximum nutrients from the soil. So examples are like soya bean and maize. Okay. So advantages are, since they have different nutrient requirements, they would get maximum nutrients from the soil. So diseases are also not easily spread to all crops. So we have, at last, we have seen the differences between the mixed cropping and intercropping. So mixed cropping, so there is no definite pattern you followed, but intercropping will follow a definite pattern. And in mixed cropping, there is there is no chance of crop failure here. We can minimize the risk. Whereas intercropping main aim is to produce more amount of yield. Okay. And the seeds, whichever are there, whichever has to grow. So those are mixed up in mixed cropping, whereas they are not mixed before sowing in intercropping. Okay. Next, spraying of pesticides, fertilizers for separate crops is not possible in mixed cropping, whereas individual care can be considered, can be taken in intercropping, because as per the individual crop, fertilizers and pesticides are easily used here. Okay, students, clear with all the concepts which we discussed today?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear, 3 of you, Gagana, Hansini, and Sahiti?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay, let me know if you have any
Yes, ma'am.
questions before we end the session.
No doubt, ma'am.
No doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then we can wind up the session for today. Okay, you can leave, students.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye. See you.